Hi everyone, it's Karen here. Now I've come on here to sort of talk about the tarot course that I've put together, and I use this on my healing journey. I've been through generational healing and also digging into the deep crevices of my psyche, and the one thing that helped me get through was tarot. During that time I learnt tarot again, and learning it again, it spoke to me in a different way. It showed itself to me. It was like I ate the tarot cards. Now as I hold the swords cards here, as you can see, the Ace of Swords. Swords are double-sided. So there's one side that heals you and the other side that harms you. Now we are given that sword from the Creator, from God, Creator, Source, the universe, however you like to call it. Sometimes we don't know how to use that sword. I call this our moral authority. And we're given that sword, and it's a big responsibility. Sometimes we use the sword to carve our way into our future, but other times we use a sword to harm ourselves and harm others. Now at a time like this in the world, it's now time to learn how to use the sword so we can carve out better futures for ourselves and humanity. As I go through the cards, it takes me back to my healing journey and basically what I learned along the way. To learn how to use the sword, we need to walk through the darkness. We need to have a look and see how we use the sword on ourselves, by the words we say to ourselves and the things that we do, and also the things that we allow other people to do to ourselves as well. We don't mean to do it, it's not intentional sometimes what other people do to us. Sometimes we have a fear of being who we are. We have a fear of speaking up. We have self-worth issues. We have self-doubt. And I found going through the deck in this way, it helped me to overcome my fears, my self-doubt, my fears of speaking up. Hence, I wouldn't be on a channel like this. I wouldn't be speaking to you all if I still had that fear. But I feel it's important to get this out, now. So people that are sort of, standing on the precipice of, will I dive into my spiritual journey? Shall I dive into myself and understand what I hold within? What's in my internal landscape? What do I need to heal? How do I heal it? What questions do I ask along the way? And how can tarot help me dive into, and it's not just the swords. The swords is the first one. How do I dive into these places? I have put workbooks together. Firstly on the swords, that's the first one we go through. I found this to be pretty tough going through the swords. The questions, that I had to ask myself, what I had to dive into. Even now I go back to the deck because sometimes I might find I'm in an Eight of Swords moment, and I have to go back into the workbook or just review the notes that I wrote down and think, well, okay, where am I feeling tied up? What do I feel I need to work on to sort of get through this? So with the Ace of Swords here, we're given the sword, and it's like, do you have what it takes to hold this sword? Sometimes we don't, but again, sometimes we have to learn how to use it. It's using the energy of the sword. It's not literally using a sword. It's the energetic resonance of the sword. 2 is always a decision, Am I going to go down the same pathway, or am I going to use the other side of the sword? to carve my way through the future. What am I going to do this time? In any situation we get into, it's always, what am I going to do? Am I going to go into my old patterns, or am I going to try and get into a positive spin and learn how to get out of the entanglements I put myself in? Three of Swords is, where have I betrayed myself? Where have I betrayed others? A lot of people say this is, broken relationships. But I always take it back to ourselves, because we are responsible for what we do. We are responsible for the choices we make. Sorry, my phone, message on my phone caught me off guard. But we're responsible for the choices we make, what the decisions we have, Where have we betrayed ourselves? Where have we said yes instead of saying no? Where have we followed a pathway because we thought, oh, well, so-and-so's doing this, so I'll go down there as well, down that pathway. But it hasn't turned out right for us. So this is where we learn to take these swords out of our own heart, our own soul. We basically turn it upside down. And we have to sort of understand where all these three points of pain come from. So we reflect. We take time to reflect. We go to our space, our happy place, or a space of meditative reflection. And we ask our intuitive senses to come online, because you can see the sword is pointing at the third eye. This one's pointing at his throat, and this one's pointing at the heart. Asking for the energies of these, the vision, the voice, and the feeling to come online. And once they come online, that's when we can start moving forward and out of the entanglements that we have. Now the Five of Swords, this is where we basically become the victor. Are we the victor or the victorious? Are we playing games with people or allowing people to play games with us? Who are we in this card? Are we the ones that feel betrayed because we're not up to speed with the games that people play? Because we're not so self-assured to stand there in front of this person and say, no, that's not how I should be treated. I deserve better. Or are we this person here who has let ego run them, who's let ego destroy relationships that sometimes it's too hard to come back from? And the ego takes hold sometimes, and the ego will fight to the death, basically, because the ego doesn't want to let go. The ego wants to keep you. The ego has a double function. The ego wants to protect the light that you hold, but also wants to keep you safe, but not realizing that if it lets go and lets you move forward into whatever you need to do, that's what's going to heal you, and that's what's going to educate you. And in that time, when you start moving forward and healing and feeling safe and educating yourself about your own persona, that's what the ego doesn't want sometimes, because it kind of feels a bit of FOMO. It's kind of like, well, you won't need me as much anymore, and I don't want to let you go. I don't want to go. But sometimes it has to for our own spiritual growth, our own evolution. So after we've come to the conclusion of, were we the victor or the victorious, we go away on a journey, and this is where we start to reflect. You may see one person here, the boatman here, leading these two people across the water to somewhere quiet where you can reflect, where you can go. You sort of leave the situation you're in at that point of time and go somewhere else for growth. You may see that even though there's three people, there's the masculine side of you, the feminine side of you, and the inner child. and you're taking them all into safer, calmer waters where you can all heal. Because if the ego is, if it's your masculine side that the ego comes across, your feminine side feels betrayed. And sometimes that's where the betrayal comes from. And your inner child feels like there's no voice. I have no voice. I've had no voice since I was small. And now I still have no voice because you've been in control all this time. So it's a time to go away and reflect on the inner aspects of who you are and who controlled the situation. Was it the masculine ego, or it could even be the feminine ego? Or was it the inner child who just was so conflicted and confused and wanted attention? So everything that you did was just basically, stuffed up. Nothing worked. Nothing went smooth because there was just this, critical mass inside that needed to be cleared out. So once we go over to that new space, you learn about the trials you had in the past. And the Seven of Swords, a lot of people say this is deception. But I see it as he's taking away the Five of Swords. He's holding Five of Swords. I'll pick these up. He's holding the Five of Swords because he's learned who he was in this picture. He's learned who he was in this situation. He's understood the energy that he was using, or she. I'm just using he because he's in the picture. But I'm just going to change the he to, you understood what energy you were using in this circumstance. But now you're walking away because there's Two of Swords here. You've made that decision of what energy you want to move forward with. And although you're holding the Five Swords, if we were to hold swords like this, we'd cut our fingers, we'd be ripped to shreds basically. But the fact that he's holding the swords in this way means that you've learnt the lesson. You're carrying your experiences away because you've spent your time in a different area, and now you're walking away with those experiences, understanding the energy that you hold within. So you come back to the position of where you were initially, feeling tied up, feeling bound, feeling like you don't know your way forward. But now you're seeing everything that entrapped you, basically. All these different swords that are in the ground. We've got the Three of Swords here. Again, if I go back to, you've seen how you've betrayed yourself, even betrayed others. You've seen that. You've understood. What have we got up here? 1, 2, 3, 4. There, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, there's the Five of Swords here. Again, you've learnt the lessons of the Five of Swords. We've got Two of Swords here. I know I said that we had 3 over there before, but there's the Two of Swords here. You're making a decision on how you want to move forward, how you want to energetically move forward. There's that Ace of Swords there. Because now you know what you need to do to carve your way into your future. You're standing tall. You've just experienced a bit of loss, a bit of confusion, and it's just a wonder of how to move forward. But with these swords in the ground, they're not up. If they were up like this, it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to battle. If they were, again, he's holding the swords and you've still got swords in the ground. They're not really active, but you understand the energy of what the sword's trying to tell you. There is a time of grieving, there is a time of loss, and you feel it. It's almost like, you know, what have I done to myself? How could I have done that to myself? Understanding everything that you've gone through, everything that the ego's put you through, you know, understanding, you know, the people around you, what you allowed to now, what you're not allowing anymore. So you go through a rebirth. You know, it's always darkest before the dawn, as they say. So you go through rebirth after rebirth sometimes, because you feel the enormity of the swords in your back, basically. And understanding the experiences that you've gone through, understanding energetically what needs to occur now. You go through this transition into a better, stronger person. Now, to understand that and use the energies of these swords being an air energy, excuse me, we start off as the Page of Swords, and this is understanding. See how he's sort of turning as if to say, okay, I'll move forward, but I can still go backwards if I want to. A little bit hesitant because it's not really fully understanding the energy of the sword. So that's how we start off. We start off as the Page of Swords. Understand, knowing that we have a bit of a responsibility, understanding how to wield the sword and what we need to do. Once we get a little bit fluent with the energy, we turn into the Knight of Swords, and it's like, yay, I've got this. I've got this now. I can move forward, I can run, I can scream, I can shout, I can be angry at, you know, everything that occurred to me. But if we don't harness the energy, sometimes this is where we end up. So the knights have missions. Knights go out to other counties, you know, other castles, and they say, you know, they're away on their steeds and they fight into battle. We become like the knight. You know, we fight the demons in our mind. We fight our insecurities. We fight the good fight for ourselves. Understanding what energetic, again, attachments that we have. So we go out there and we fight until we can get to a time where we can, you know, go through the dimensions. See how we've got the land down there, then we've got a stream of cloud, another stream of cloud, the different dimensions that we need to go through in freeing ourselves up. That's how we can sort of get there and free ourselves up from the past. We turn into the Queen of Swords, who's very discerning. She knows what she needs to cut off. She understands the process of transformation. She understands listening to the wind, you know, what's on the wind, what's coming in the air waves, because we're all intuitive. We all have that ear and that sense to feel what's happening around us. Our feelings come up, our sensing feelings come up. We start to cut things off because we know we don't need them anymore. They were once in our life, but they're not good for us anymore. So we can connect into our discernment. Now the Queen's learned because she's been through a lot of grief. She's been through the Nine of Swords many times, and that's what's made her strong. And going through the swords, you know, answering the questions. If I get up the book that I have, the workbook that I have, you know, what actions do I need to do to help me move forward? We tap into the masculine energy, which is the King of Swords. So we get to the Queen, because we're using both Where am I? Yeah, now I'm on the right side. So I'm looking at the camera thinking, no, it's the wrong side. This is my masculine side. This is my feminine side. And once can understand the energy of our feminine as the Queen of Swords and our masculine as the King of Swords, we can stand proud, knowing that we can hold the sword with pride, knowing who we are, understanding what we've had to go through, what we need to cut off, what we need to transform into. So the course that I have, it taps into the masculine and feminine sides of us because it's so important for our balance. Because remember, everyone says, stay balanced. How can we if we only work on, if not gender specific, but if you come across gender as a female and you only work on the feminine side, you still need to work on the masculine side. That's what's going to help balance you. So we're working with both sides. We're going through the past. How do I move forward from here? What other questions do I have? So I've got a couple of workbooks here. What do I need to let go of? Why do I hold these false beliefs? Where do they come from? What makes me feel safe holding on to them? We have meditation. We go through meditation classes. And again, what do I need to see to move past this? Swords is all about, what do I need to see? Especially with the Four of Swords. What do I need to see? What is the vision for my life? For me to move forward, what is the vision that I have? What do I need to verbalize to people? To say, that's enough. Now it's my time. It's my turn for me. Without, following other people. We need to now be accountable for ourselves. We need to be sovereign. We need to be responsible for ourselves. Because you have the answers inside you. Everyone does. And what this does, it helps you pull up the questions from yourself. You become your own teacher. You become your own healer. You don't need to, you can get, assistance, and guidance from other people. That's not a problem, but you do learn how to bring the guidance up yourself and become your own guide, become your own teacher, become your own healer. Become stronger, more self-aware. And you're the one that does it. I just guide you through. That's all I do. I don't bring it up for you. You bring it up for yourself as much as you can handle. Where do the issues lie, What's the outcome? The balance between the masculine and feminine energies. What lessons do you take away from these situations? Is journey work, journaling, meditation, listing down things you need to change, like within the Eight of Swords. If I go to the Eight of Swords, we've got what needs to change. What false beliefs do you have with your finance, with your health, social aspect, family, business, career, spirituality, emotional aspects? So each card has its own spread. So I've created spreads for each card with the different questions on there. It is a workbook for the energy of the swords. You learn to understand the energy of the swords and bring the energy into yourself and nurture the energy of the swords so that you can cut things off that you don't need, It's easy, but also there's forgiveness in there as well. It's all fair and good to cut people off. and think, well, I want nothing more to do with you. You know, I'm going to cut you off because you're not the person that I want to be around. But then sometimes you find that, you know, you mix with those people again. What is it that sort of you still need to learn? What is it that still need to harness within yourself? Because not everyone's bad, as they say, bad or negative or unspiritual or anything. We're all spiritual beings. Just that some choose to enhance it more than others do. A lot of people like to keep it under a bushel. It's my cat Crumpet. He loves me. Oh, he loves me doing videos, and he loves joining in on these these talks. So there's the energy of the swords. Now, as I said, it's a course that I've created. I created it within my own healing journey, and it was like the cards. I ate the cards, and the cards basically placed themselves in specific areas of my life. Again, we work on the masculine feminine principle. We work with the tree of life. We work with tarot spreads. We work with meditation, journey work, journaling. There's a lot in this course. So the next, after the swords, after we go through the depth and demise of the Ten of Swords, after understanding of the energies that we need to harness, and you know, we finish on the Ten of Swords here, the resurrection, the transformation. We jump into the Pentacles. Now I'm going to make a separate video on the Pentacles. So Pentacles is basically our rebirth. Pentacles is our energetic currency, our energetic essence. And wherever we place our focus, our energy goes. So this is a good one as well. So thank you for listening. I will put details of the course in the description box. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. Thank you. Take care.